Yes, I know that this is going to be an absolutely massive issue, but I feel like it is one that Daniel Farke can solve very, very quickly. First up, just to summarise, Georginio Rutter is injured, probably. We heard from Daniel Farke in the press conference that it'll be a late call as to whether or not he is able to play against Rotherham, and I guess we'll find out, and it's going to give Leeds United a significant cause for concern. Partially because of the severe, impressiveness of the stats that Rutter has produced so far this season. He's in the top 3% in all of football for assists, shot created, take-ons, progressive passes, and interceptions per 90. For a lot of those stats, he's the top 1%. He is top tier in the Championship. I would argue the best player in the division. He's also made 37 key passes this season already, which is top of the Leeds United list and I think fourth or fifth in the division, behind only wing backs who do key passes for a living. He's comfortably got the most assists, most expected assists in the Championship as well. Our finishing has sometimes let him down. So, with all this considered, how does Daniel Farke replace him? How exactly does Daniel Farke take this player that is so creative and fundamental to the way that his side play and fix it? Well, first up, we're going to run through all the options that we have. And the first option is Patrick Bamford. A lot of people will have groaned the moment I said Patrick Bamford, but you're going to have to stick with me. The first thing to look at is the fact that he is a high-pressing forward with a lot of experience as a number 9. That is effectively Georginio Rutter's role in the squad. Whereas Piroux plays sort of a more static role, Rutter is not only someone that goes higher up the pitch, but he drops deeper. Sorry, I had a hair in my mouth. And Patrick Bamford is that energetic sort of player that will press really, really high and drop in to recover to make up for it. That's exactly what we need if we want to retain the shape that we've been playing so far this season under Daniel Farke, and it could be key. A lot of people will point out as well that he's not got the finishing touch. In terms of shooting, Bamford is not the best that we've got. He missed a penalty earlier in the season, and that sort of set the tone. However, do we really need it? Rutter's finishing isn't top of the table either. And we've got Piroux there to provide that finishing touch, as well as the wingers. They've scored a lot of goals this season. I don't think, really, there are massive issues with picking Patrick Bamford, at least in terms of finishing. There is a potential problem, however, in terms of passing range. As I mentioned, Rutter, up there with the best expected assists, with key passes, with chances created. That's something that I don't see Bamford doing. He's not quite got that same weight of pass. He's not got that same touch. His ball control is very, very different. I wouldn't say worse. It's just fundamentally not the same. He uses his body less. I feel like that's something that we could lose if we pick Patrick Bamford. The next change we could make is someone that's already in the side. It's moving Crescencio Somerville inside to play as that 10-9 sort of combo role with Gnonto going out to the left-hand flank. This isn't too bad because Somerville has 36 key passes in comparison to Georginio Rutter's. So that's still very, very strong, especially from the wing where you're more likely to be running at players and taking them on than passing. I think transitioning inside is okay for Somerville because he's very sort of used to playing in those congested areas, and he's more of an inside forward anyway than a pure winger like Dan James is. Furthermore, this change would bring a little bit more pace to the side. Willie Gnonto is fast, faster than Rutter, I think, or at least more nimble. And that could be, honestly, huge for piecing apart Rotherham, because playing transitional football against Rotherham is going to be a big part of winning the tactical battle. Rotherham will want to sit deep, will want to just wait. When we press the ball, win it high up, and then transition quickly, they're not able to drop into that little defensive structure, and we've got more of a chance. However, this comes with risks as well. It brings the risk of playing our best forward out of position. Is he our best forward? That's quite hard to decide. Sorry about that. Heard the door. Is he our best forward? I'd say Rutter is our best forward, but Somerville is our best goal scorer at the moment, is the way I'd put that. And I feel like if he's performing so well on the wing, is it more of a risk to move him inside and just hope he does the same job? Why not play Gnonto as the 10 or something like that? This is why it's so hard to replace Rutter, because he does something from a lot of different positions, so replacing him isn't really that good. This is why in January we probably need to sign a number 10, just to add that little bit more depth, someone that can fill in for Rutter if needed. And then we have the third pick, that I've called a little bit of a wild card pick. And I know no one's going to agree with me, but sod it, I'll pitch it anyway. Joe Gelhardt. Now, the instant response to that will have also been, what the hell? Gelhardt has barely played football all season long, and he's only just come back from injury. But I feel like there's a bit of a conversation to be had here. Firstly, because he functions in a very similar way to Rutter. When we were a couple of seasons ago under Jesse Marsh in his first relegation battle, Gelhardt didn't play as a traditional number 9, and that frustrated a lot of people. He played as that 10-9 hybrid, so he functions in a very, very similar way to Georginio Rutter. He's happy to come deeper, happy to use his body. I think Phil Hay in the past has talked about Gelhardt using his bomb very often. And he's happy to make chances for other people. In fact, I think the most memorable Gelhardt moment in his Leeds career is that time where he dinked the ball over a player next to the post, crossed it in for Pascal Struijk, and Struijk finished. That's another example of creating chances for others, even if he doesn't score that many himself. Furthermore, he's got championship experience. He was at Sunderland last season. He got them into the playoffs. One of the potential issues, though, is that he's maybe not too sharp because he's not played that much football either for the 21s this season or for the senior side. But there's a conversation to be had in that Rotherham might be the perfect opponent. They're a team that are down there at the Championship. Rotherham are not in a good place right now. And that gives us an opportunity to maybe give Gelhardt some minutes. Maybe it's a good time for a little bit of rotation to say, okay, let's see what you can do. Because I think around him, Somerville and Dan James and Gilles Pirou should be able to create and finish enough chances for us to be okay anyway. It's not a question of, do we test well, it's not a question of, do we think Gelhardt is enough to get us to beat Rotherham? It's a question of, do we want to test Gelhardt against Rotherham? However, the entire thing is potentially not an issue. This video might have been pointless, because Rutter was described as a late call rather than definitely out. It didn't sound good in the slightest. It sounded like an abdominal injury that he'd taken a bit of a hit. He would probably not be able to play. But describing it as a late call at least tells me that there's a chance that he could travel, maybe get on the bench. I doubt he'll start, but that means that Rutter can still come on and have an impact. Ultimately, I think if there is a decision to be made, I've got my own personal choice and you will have yours because it's football. Everyone has their opinions here. And in my opinion, I think the best way forward would be to play Patrick Bamford. Now, he might not necessarily score a goal. He might not be on the best of finishing form, but I think he fits in there. I think he'll press high enough to force some mistakes out of Rotherham's backline and goalkeeper. I think he can link up well enough to create chances with the people around him. His link up with Rutter a few matches ago was absolutely fantastic, and I think it'll end pretty well. Ultimately, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe, or even become a channel member, and I will see you later.